Let's welcome in Anthony Dicomo, bringing in some new information, joining us from the winter meetings in Dallas. Anthony not only covers the Mets for SNY, covers the Mets for MLB.com and the league in general. We appreciate the time this morning, Anthony. You were telling us in a break how you had learned of this news just as you had sat down for a nice, healthy repast and to enjoy the rest of your evening. And now that we're all kind of digesting this deal, I want to ask you about the Mets' perspective here and what might be next for them. Is it fair to say that there really is no limit on the spending given the dollars attached to Soto's contract?
Yeah, I don't think you spend $765 million on Juan Soto to then go and say, all right, we're done, we're good. No, this is a Mets team, and specifically a Mets ownership with Steve Cohen, that wants to win at literally any cost. So you look at what they did with Juan Soto, this is still, even with him, not a complete team. They need pitching. That is priority number one. They brought Frankie Montas in. They brought Clay Holmes in. They plan to make him a starter. But they still need more for the rotation. They definitely need more for the bullpen as well. And you can certainly look at this lineup and say, okay, well, what if we bring back Pete Alonso as well? This is all kind of chump change compared to what they just gave Juan Soto. So the Mets are far from done. There's still a lot of work to happen. You might see some of it this week at the winter meetings, but between now and the start of spring training, the Mets are going to continue to add. That is part of why Juan Soto signed with the Mets. He believed in their vision that they were going to try to win, and that means spend.
Well, Anthony, I think it's interesting, too, on the timeline. I don't think the Mets have till spring training. There's too many teams active now, and that's why you had to get Soto off the board. So I think they're going to be pretty active. So I want to ask you this, because David Stern's reputation's been, I'll be the reclamation, I'll put things together, this and that. Well, so was Andrew Friedman until he got to L.A. And now he's got a taste of the spoils to be able to spend some money to go do it. Where's his next move? Will it be pitching, or will it be trying to go get another bat to protect Soto? What do you think is next in the priority line?
I do think it's pitching, Harold, and look, this is an interesting case because we have never really seen David Stearns go more than 1 or 2 years for pitching, not in Milwaukee, not here in New York. You've seen it with the deals he's made so far. Frankie Montas, 2 years with an opt-out. Clay Holmes, 3 years with an opt-out. That's about as big as he has gone, or as long-term as he has gone ever for starting pitching. So could the Mets potentially be involved in, say, a Corbin Burns who's going to get 5, 6, 7 years in the open market, or a Max Fried? I would lean no until proven otherwise, but you do have to look at what else is out there. There are some very interesting guys that you could potentially get on short-term deals, whether that's a Nate Eovaldi, whether that's a Walker Buehler. Those, I think, are the aisles the Mets are going to shop down. And like you said, Harold, most of baseball is going to be interested in those guys for that reason. So I do think the Mets do have to strike quickly again on the pitching front.
Hey, last thing. You talked earlier about, obviously, they're going to spend more money. So was their plan, like, here's Soto money over here, and here's the budget we're going to do to build the team? Is that how you kind of see it now that you're starting to get the full picture?
I think Soto, yeah. Soto was a separate entity. Soto was on an island. It's not like the Mets went into this offseason saying, we're going to spend $1 billion. No. They saw Juan Soto as a generational talent. And people want to paint this as Steve Cohen using his money as like a blunt force instrument, which to an extent it was, right? Like, he outbid every team. You hear this narrative, Steve Cohen was not going to be denied, and I fully agree with it. But this was also strategic. 2 years ago, the Mets didn't really pursue Aaron Judge in free agency. Last year, the Mets didn't really pursue Shohei Ohtani in free agency. They were waiting for this moment. This was the player they had kind of had their eyeballs on for years in the past. So now that he was available, they were not going to be denied. It didn't matter what the money was. And no, the Mets weren't going to spend $1 billion this offseason if they didn't get Juan Soto. But looking back on it, it sure does seem like they were always going to get Juan Soto, and now they're going to add on top of it.
Boy, more really good perspective from the folks that have their boots on the ground, that are the closest to this story, including our friend Anthony Dicomo joining us live from Dallas. Anthony, appreciate you, man. We'll circle back with you, I'm sure, later on in the winter meetings.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.